Alright, so it's time I finally got back to the history of Bond videos on my channel. It's getting closer and closer and closer to, what was it called? Huh? I don't know, I forgot what it's called. Get Rich or Die Trying? No. To the new Bond movie that's coming out. No Time to Die. There it is. Sorry. And so we reached Goldeneye, and the reason why it took so long is I was trying to figure out how I was going to approach this, because if you don't know, I already did a review on this channel for Goldeneye as part of my birth month, because it's something I grew up with and the video game and all that. So I didn't know how I was going to approach it. I didn't want to skip it because then the series would be incomplete, but I gave it a full review. What am I supposed to do? So I figured I'm just going to take this, tell you some of the historical stuff about it. Like, you know, the switch between the actors and stuff that happened before. And then kind of go through what I like and didn't like about certain aspects. Talk about the characters, talk about the music, talk about certain scenes. So we're going to do that. So, where we left off, Timothy Dalton was James Bond in 1989's License to Kill, which was a fantastic film. In fact, both of Dalton's films are really good. I really enjoyed them. And, you know, he only had 2 films, and neither of them were bad, so I think, you know, he could be high up in my ranking, depending on how it goes with Brosnan here. Because I've only seen Goldeneye, I haven't seen the other 3. I've heard things about all 3, but Die Another Day. Anyway, originally they were going to release Timothy Dalton's 3rd film in 1991. However, there was contract disputes and lawsuits and stuff that was held up in court, and Dalton eventually just left the role. Also, between then and this film, the Cold War ended. Berlin Wall was dropped. I believe that's when it happened. Statues were falling. You know, Cold War was over. And so was James Bond necessary? Well, they were going to prove that he was. Pierce Brosnan, who was given the role before Dalton, before he was forced to go back to working on Remington Steele, do the other things, he came in to portray Bond in this. And this is a good... We'll start talking about the characters here. So, first of all, Bond. James Bond. Pierce Brosnan. Fantastic. In this movie, he is fantastic. He's suave, sophisticated, a ladies' man. He's everything you need James Bond to be. In his first scene, he drops down from a vent in a bathroom on some guy taking a crap, and he says, "Pardon me, I forgot to knock," and probably shoots the guy. And in this first scene, you see Brosnan coming down through the staircases. Very James Bond-like, very good. I also think he's very good with women. You know, he flirts with Moneypenny, but we'll get to Moneypenny in this. And, you know, he flirts with Natalia, who's our main female. You know, he's got some other one-liners like, "No, no, 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 no. No more foreplay." Fantastic. Another one-liner we'll talk about later that kind of ends the fight with the bad guy in this. The Bond girl is Natalia. Let's call her Natalia. Played by Isabella Scoruppo. She's one of my favorite Bond girls. Even going through this series, she's still one of my favorites because she's really good. I think she does a good job. And she's a Bond girl of the 90s. She's a more independent character. Well, she does fall for Bond, and I don't understand why, because this was shortly after they were on a train, and they were about to die, and he was going to let Trevelyan shoot her, or Ormoff shoot her, sorry, spoilers, let Ormoff shoot her, because, you know, She means nothing to me. And then they bring that back later when she does that, which is kind of funny. She just sort of falls for Bond, which I get it. All the Bond girls are supposed to. But she's the character Jill St. John was trying to be in Diamonds Are Forever. She's independent, she's strong, she's smart. She knows how to work a gun. She's great. Other allies of Bond include Joe Don Baker, playing not Brad Whitaker this time, but another character named Jack Wade. And I always laugh when he calls Bond Jimbo. He's a replacement for Felix Leiter because the producers didn't want to bring Felix Leiter in with a wooden leg like in the books, so they just brought in a new character, which is fine, you know. Now Moneypenny is played by Samantha Bond in this now, and she's also a woman of the 90s where she's taking no shit from Bond and, oh, you've never had me, and stuff like that. Speaking of women of the 90s who take no shit, M, played by Dame Judi Dench in this film, is fantastic. She's probably the best version of M. I mean, Bernard Lee was fine, was great, I should say. The other guy was fine. Robert Brown, he was fine, but Judi Dench is M. She's been M since this film, and they have a new one, Ralph Fiennes. But yeah. Also, I never realized till now that the guy Bond is talking to before M shows up is Bill Tanner. Because I heard this time, he said Tanner. I'm like, wait, that's Bill Tanner? Just never realized it. Villains. Xenia Onatop. Onatop? Onatop. Yes, it means what you think it means. Played by Famke Janssen. Is the... Whew, how do you explain this character? She is very sexualized in a way that's not sexualized. I don't know. So, she uses sex as a weapon. She breaks people in half with her thighs. And there's the scene where she goes into the Serenaya and shoots everyone and she gets off on it. Yeah. But, like I said in my original review, her death makes no sense to me. It still doesn't make sense. Watching it here, it makes no sense. She's attached to a helicopter. It flies back. She hits into a tree that has that little V thing. She's... How does that kill you? She hits the tree, but it's just pulling her back. If anything, it's stopping her from getting down. How would that kill someone? It makes no sense. It still makes no sense to me. Ourumov. General Ourumov is fine. He's just there to be, he's there to be a red herring villain. Like, you think he's in charge, and then they mention the Giannis Syndicate. Who's that? Well, we don't know. And then he's killed on a train with really no consequence, and he doesn't mean anything. Boris, one of my favorite characters in this film, played by Alan Cumming. I am invincible. He is funny, he's great, and he's one of the best characters. Although in the video game Boris, you'd be stupid trying to shoot the bad guys who walk right in front of me and die, and I have to restart the level, and it's annoying, but he's fantastic in this. And then our villain, Giannis, or what his real name is, the Agent 006, Alex Trevelyan. Yes. I always liked the twist that Alec was the villain the entire time. Many people have commented that this doesn't make any sense, that his plan would be to try to trick Bond into believing he's dead to later try to do this plan. And his plan does make no sense if you think about it. He got the Goldeneye satellite, right? That emits an EMP that can destroy anything. So what he's going to do is he's going to electronically rob a bank, put it to his own little offshore account thing, and then use the EMP so that all what he does is erased. That's what he's going to do. He's going to use it to rob a bank. What? And he had to wait 9 years from the opening of this. We'll get to that problem too. But a lot of people say, oh, that doesn't make any sense. It does if you think of it this way. Bond wasn't supposed to escape. Alex's plan was that he was supposed to... it was supposed to appear to Bond that he died. Then Bond was supposed to die. That the Russians were supposed to kill Bond. And then it would appear as if both agents died in combat. You know, died on mission. And he could go on and do whatever. Now, waiting 9 years to steal something, to just rob a bank. And the only reason it's 9 years is because this has to take place in 1995, which means that 9 years earlier is 1986. And so the beginning of this takes place during the Cold War, and they wanted that to be very much, you know, in the Cold War, which is why then you have to do 9 years. It's all very strange. The 9 year gap, why would we wait 9 years to do this? Maybe the Goldeneye didn't exist until then, and they found out about it and they're going to use it that way. I don't know. It's revealed that he's a descendant of the, what, Leon Cossacks or whatever. Whatever those are, I don't know what they are, but yeah, and let's talk about that opening. Because the opening pre-title sequence takes place 9 years before the events of the rest of the film, which takes place in 1996, which means this pre-title sequence in 1995, which means this pre-title sequence takes place in 1986, right? Now, continuity-wise, which you can always throw continuity out the window with this series, but you're going to tell me that in 1985, James Bond looked like a 50-something-year-old Roger Moore. Then in 86, he looked like a late 30s Pierce Brosnan, to then the next year look like a mid-30s Timothy Dalton, to then once again a few years later, like looking like a late 30s Pierce Brosnan. The only difference I see is that they shagged his hair out in the pre-title sequence, and then he's like more combed back in the present day. But it's very weird to me, continuity-wise, that they would do that. The action sequences in this film are fantastic. Bond gets to drive a tank, which is awesome. There's one in a plane. There's the in a towel fight scene with Xenia on the top. You know, there's explosions. Martin Campbell, the director of this film, was fantastic with this film. He did a very good job. And the action sequences are done very well. Starting with License to Kill, there was always been action sequences, but I think License to Kill is what started. That we're going to focus more on action-oriented stuff in the Bond films, and it works. Especially Martin Campbell, who would later come back to do Casino Royale. He's very good at those action scenes. So this is done very well. Music. The title music is Goldeneye by Tina Turner, and it's a fantastic song. It's a fantastic song. One of my favorite Bond themes. And the score, I forgot who did the score, but for the most part, the score is really good. They also changed out the composer during the tank chase to Eric Serra did the score, and then for the most of the film, but during the tank chase is done by Robert Altman, which is the traditional Bond theme, done very well. And for the most part, like I said, the score is really good, except during the opening chase when Bond is chasing Xenia in the car, and he's got the Aston Martin DB5 or DB6, whatever it is. He's chasing around, but for the rest of the film, he drives a BMW, which Q, once again played by Desmond Llewellyn, I forgot to mention that. He's one of the only bringovers from the other films, but yeah. he's brought over, and he's still good old Desmond. You know, you don't want to replace Q. You know, I don't want to replace Desmond as Q, so that's good. And he gives Bond a BMW. There's a BMW in these films, and we don't get to see any of the gadgets because he just gives it to Wade and then takes a plane with Natalia. But the music, for the most part, is good. But yeah, that chase scene with Natalia. I want to give out a quote from the Dutch Bond fan who said it sounds like Mario Kart music, and it kind of does. I agree. So yeah, that even, you know, listen to it, it's like, no, that music doesn't fit with this at all. You know, but yeah, the final action scene on this satellite dish that's underwater, which, how can it be underwater? Waterproof, apparently. I don't know, but it's underwater. And you have Alec and Bond fighting. They're both hanging there. And Bond grabs a hold of him. And you get Alec's line, "For England, James?" And Bond just looks at him and he says, "No, for me," and drops him. He lands, and he's technically still alive, although I think he would bleed to death. But then the satellite falls on him because, you know, they've messed up. Natalia messed up the satellite, and then Boris gets frozen in liquid nitrogen. And then Bond and Natalia, they race off. And this ending is always weird because, like, you know, there's no one. Is there anyone watching? No, they go to make out, and then Wade shows up with a bunch of CIA agents, and it ends with this terrible song at the end of the film. It's just terrible. Why can't you play Goldeneye at the end? This song's just terrible. It's slow. It's no. Slow songs in Bond films should not go together. At least not like that, you know. Goldfinger was kind of slow, and that's fine. And License to Kill was a little bit slow, too, and that was fine. But this song was just terrible. I don't even know what it's called. But it's terrible. That's what it is. It's terrible. But, yeah. I don't have anything else to say about this film. It's a fantastic film. I do highly recommend this film. It's one of the best Bond films out there. And I'm excited to see what else Pierce Brosnan has to offer. Except for Die Another Day. I'm very nervous about that one. But we'll get to that. And next up on the history of Bond is Tomorrow Never Dies, I think. Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies. I was confused which one's next. But yeah, that'll be next. So what are your thoughts on Goldeneye? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.